tuned in to the Creative Ass podcast. Powered by M3 Creative.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Creative AF podcast, where we talk about everything indie, arts, and entertainment. My name is Michael Mueller. I'm the owner of the M3 Creative Studio, and I have Curtis Wyatt, actor, writer, director, and head of TV and film at M3 Creative. Our glorious sponsor today is the Atlanta Film Production Group, one of the largest and most active indie film pages on Facebook. Make sure to check them out. Today we got something very interesting to talk about. It's talked about a lot in the filmmaking world. Would you agree, Curtis?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the biggest questions that we get asked by filmmakers and by people inside our industry. And that question is, when should I work for free?
Or when do I stop?
Ooh, that's even better.
And it's such a loaded question. And it's low because it's not a common practice in a lot of other industries except for ours. And I don't know why that is. It's just, I guess it comes with the territory, but it is part of the territory. So we're going to try and tackle it because I think if you talk to anybody that's spent any amount of time in the film world, they've done something for free. So what's your 2 cents? What's your take on it? When do you start? When do you stop? What's your experience? What have you done for free? Not sexually, but in film, what have you done?
It's cool, bro. I know that you were going to go there with it. I'm completely fine with it. Has anyone ever told you have a face
there
for
it is.
radio?
All the time. Thank you for that.
So working for free, the first job that I did for free was college. So it was just a whole bunch of my friends, and I didn't realize it as being working for free because you're just working with your college friends. And we made a short film. And actually, I would say purely student film. It's the definition of a whole bunch of friends getting together. Sound was awful. Picture was neat. But
what did y'all film on, just out of curiosity?
At that time,
What year was this?
This was 2010.
Ooh, okay. The beginning of DSLR.
So
if you had one of those.
Nah, bro, we were shooting on
camcorder.
We were shooting on somebody's camcorder.
Is this film readily available?
Oh, I burned it.
Okay, just check.
No. So we shot it. We did it. It was fun. It was a great learning experience.
What did you learn?
I learned that none of us in that group at that time were any good at directing, writing, sound, camera.
Are any of those people still in film today, 11 years later?
To my knowledge, me and one other person.
Wow. And how many, roughly, numbers-wise, was there in this first project?
Oh, it was 12 of us.
Wow. It's funny. Was everybody, would you say, at that time equally passionate about making films, or was it...
Loved it. It was before the world got to us. It was before...
The world of filmmaking or the world of everybody else?
Both.
Gotcha.
So, like, for me, my parents...
It's two different things for those that don't know. There's the world, and then there's the world of filmmaking.
So, yeah. So, like, for me, it's always been very supportive, but, like, for a lot of other people, it hasn't been. But, like, that was the first time that I worked for free, technically. What about yourself? When was the very first time that you worked for free?
Golly. I think... Well, I worked for free for... It was probably like 2003. It's pre-film. Are we talking about just in general in entertainment?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, probably 2002, 2003, and probably did not make $1 in entertainment until 2008, 2007. And that was doing a party promotion, so completely not relevant to any of this discussion. So not to say that it's so there's a for the most part, I know there's film school, but for the most part there's not a school for entertainment, so to speak, of finding your pathway. So yeah, I that was 2002, 2003. It was more on the music side, learning the artist management side of things, copywriting, publishing, that type of thing, working with unsigned artists. So very indie, but did that for a long time, working on that side of things. So
here's my question for you. So as we're about to go into this, but before we start to ask this question, what do you think the biggest reason why we keep on getting this one more than anything else? Like, why is it that every single artist is like, okay, could you guys answer this question in terms of like working for free?
Well, I think because one, I think that because the topic of free is such a big topic, because our labor is a labor of love and passion first and foremost. A lot of times it's like, hey, if you need some extra hands on set, just let me know. I want to show, because you're genuinely passionate about filmmaking or whatever it is in that realm, whether it's, if it's shooting a music video or whatever it is in the creative world. A lot of times, we just want to get out there and get experience, because even people that go to film school still need to get the real world experience and the set experience and things like that. So there's that aspect of it. So, and because we love what we do, it's not really like, we're not really concerned with the money piece of it up front. We're just wanting to go out and be a part of that creation process. And then when you see that final product, and even though you may have only had the simplest piece to do with it, but to see it come alive, like, those are some of the most rewarding pieces as a creator. So I think that's why we find the free thing more of a topic in our world than anywhere else, because you're not going to go to any other industry because people aren't passionate at Walmart. No one's like, dude, I just want to get in here and push some carts, bro, and stock some groceries. Like, no one's passionate about that.
I would have to agree with that. I don't think anybody walks into Walmart and is like, today's the day that I become the greeter.
Right.
I truly don't believe that. All right, so we're going to talk about the 3 W's for working for free.
Okay.
Why?
There are 3 W's.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
That's
This is the 3 W's.
Break them down.
This is what we're going to talk about today, because these are the 3 W's that I continue to get. So, when do I start working for free? Why do I start working for free? And when do I stop working for free? So let's go ahead and start with the when should I start working for free?
I would say as soon as you want to get experience. I think up front, I think those answers are always going to vary based on the person and where they're at. Because, believe it or not, my position now, 20 years in, or almost 20 years in, there are going to be things that I do now for free, even though I don't have to do them.
Wait, you still work?
Because, again, it goes back to, sometimes there may be a project or something, an opportunity or a project that they may not have the budget, or they may not be able to afford the services. And for me, I would rather just be a part of the project than worry about how they're going to try and pay for it. Because at the end of the day, my thing is, I'm a creator first. Yeah. Like, I'm not a bottom line person. Money is just, I always say it's the necessary evil. Because when I have discussions with people about, what's your dream job? What's your dream of what you want to do in life? And people always say, well, that's such a hard thing. How do you decide? And I said, no, it's the simplest thing on the planet. What would you do for free? What would you do regardless if it made you money or not? So this is what I would do whether I made money or not. That's like when, well, how long you gonna chase that until you give up and go to plan B? Well, there's no plan B. This is the only plan. Mm-hmm. Even if I can't financially make this work, say we go under and I gotta sell the studio, everything, and I have to go get a 9-to-5, I'm still gonna create. I'm just not gonna be able to do it for a living. But I never give that piece up. So even 20 years in, there's still gonna be times that I do things for free because of opportunity or because I feel moved by someone's story or project. So you never stop. There's going to be times where you limit it, and you have to get paid, right? And it's never too early to start especially if you're new and fresh and you need the experience.
Yeah, I would definitely say for me, when to start. Start the moment you want to get knowledge on something. The moment you want to get knowledge on a camera, the moment you want to get knowledge on sound, the moment you want to get knowledge on how a set works. Because I don't know anybody who's looking for hands on set that won't take free hands. They maybe not be the most experienced hands, but when you're with somebody, they're going to guide you in terms of what to do, what to touch, exactly how to move around set. And one thing that I don't think a lot of people think about, you want to learn a set real quick, be an extra on a set. And you'll see for those couple moments that you're on set, how fast and fluid things start to work in motion. You start to hear terms that you've never heard before in terms of blocking, points, and all these other things. So like the moment you have an inkling that you want to start doing this, because I know for a fact on Atlanta Film Production Group, there's a whole bunch of people that are looking out for hands, for people that want to work, people that want to get experience. So if you are looking for those things, the moment you have that inkling, it doesn't even matter what department it's in. Try your best to try to get in there.
I will say this, though. Now, the free thing is dangerous. I'm going to tell you why it's dangerous.
Okay, tell me why it's dangerous.
Because there's also it's a slippery slope when it comes to, especially when we're talking about new people trying to get the experience, right? Because the same time they don't necessarily have the experience on set, and that's what they're trying to get. They also don't have the experience of what they should be looking for. Am I going to get the appropriate experience on set by this production?
Especially in the indie world, you're absolutely
especially in the indie world, because a lot of times it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of people that aren't fully what or who they say they are. They, it's you have to be able to, I would say, before doing anything for free or signing up for someone's project, to make sure that you're doing your homework, the infamous deep dive, ask to see some of their, and you can't be, some people may be offended if you ask, if you, hey, can I see some of the work that you've done in the past? I mean, to me, honestly, time is the most expensive currency in the world, because it's the one commodity you can't get back. Once it's spent, it's gone, and you can't buy any more of it. So if I'm going to someone's set and giving my time, I want to know that I'm spending it adequately. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going there and I ask to see some of your work, because I want to know, hey, I'm going to spend 12 hours on this person's set. I want to know that I'm actually going to learn something.
So, and what's interesting about that, and you saying that, is, especially if we were inside the indie market and people are just starting out, it's hard because a vast majority of the people won't have anything to show you. You know what I'm saying? That's starting inside the indie market. So if I'm starting out, this is my very first time, I'm trying to work for free or trying to find out a little bit more about the industry. What kind of
Here's the thing. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, where do you go?
But the thing is, for example, the Atlanta Film Production Group page, there's always postings, whether it's a crew call, casting calls, whatever the calls are. The likeliness that everybody in that production has the same level of novice experience is slim to none. Mm-hmm. There is somebody guiding that ship that has some type of knowledge and has done something before. The likeliness of an entire team coming together with absolutely no knowledge of how a team comes together and moving forward is highly unlikely. And if that is the case, it goes back to, that's not something you're going to learn from if everybody there has the same skill set and knowledge base as you. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to, that's not one you want to do for free, because chances are they're going to be fumbling through it and not necessarily you're going to learn.
Experienced in it.
Yeah, you want to get around experienced production. And honestly, to be honest, if whatever your city is, and this isn't just Atlanta, this is in most cities, there is an indie film community. Ours here in Atlanta, there are a handful of pages where you see who's doing stuff and working regularly. It just takes time of just looking and paying attention, and you know what's legit and what isn't. And we live in the world of social media where you can simply verify and check who is doing what and who isn't. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's checks and balances that you can put in place. But I would just say those are some of the initial things I would definitely be cautious about when going into doing the free work.
All right. So when you say starting, we both agree you can pretty much start at any time or start when you have that inkling. But the posts or the things that you should look out for in terms of starting is that person's production work of what they've created before and anything of recent that they've worked on or that they've been a part of.
Yeah, for sure. And not just what they're posting. I mean, do they have a YouTube page? Do they have a Vimeo page? What does their IG look like? What are they doing generally in film? What does their IMDb look like? I mean, there are things. The one thing about filmmakers or people that work in film is that we're very proud people of our work.
I know you are very proud of everything that you've done. So.
The thing is, even the losses. I'm proud of the losses. I'm proud of the bad stuff, because without the bad stuff, I wouldn't know what the good stuff is. But I will tell you that with that being said, that you should be able to find stuff on any. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be able to find the work from people. You know, it shouldn't be difficult. And if you can't, that tells you enough about what you need to know about should I do this one or not. Mm-hmm. Probably want to sit that one out.
So the next question I have for you is the next W of why work for free? Because typically with the word work, you're typically going to be doing something, you're going to be working, that's some type of labor. Mm-hmm. And shouldn't you be compensated for that?
I think you are being compensated. I think free is such a loose term. Is it? I think we can be rewarded or compensated in things outside of monetary value, right? I don't think. I think knowledge and experience are compensation. I think the relationships that you build with the people you're on set with, you don't know who or what that team is going to be like going into it. You don't know. You may find the missing link to the project you're working on at home, and you're like, oh my God, this DP was incredible. I need to bring him in on this script I'm writing, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of different variables in the creative world.
Well, the one thing that I learned from working for free, like got out of college, did a couple projects with a couple other people, did a couple SCAD things that ultimately never got finished, but worked with a lot of dope people. And I found out that work begets work. Like me working with them end up leading to another opportunity, meeting some more people, leading to another opportunity. And before I end up knowing it, a lot of people knew my name and that I work with, and it's not guaranteed that it's going to lead to paying work, but I can tell you from my experience that it led to paying gigs, because eventually some of those people you work with end up getting finances.
And sometimes it's the reverse too, right? What about when Curtis gets a budget, Curtis has a script, I need to hire some crew.
Oh, I'm definitely going to the people that I know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, like, it's not just your name in their hat, but their name in your hat, too, for when you need resources, because it's kind of like, but the thing is like, you got to, it's like the saying, like, you got to be present to win. You people have to know you. You have to be visible. Your work but more than just your work, but you have to be visible and moving, and people have to not just respect your work, but they have to respect your work ethic. And the biggest thing in this industry is not being flaky, or the dependency of, like, people not showing up or canceling last minute, and just all the different wishy-washy pieces that come through, or that that come with the territory, I guess.
Yeah, and there's one thing, because I got asked this question, I really didn't know how to answer it, so I'm going to ask you. I gave the person an answer, but I was like, I feel like I could have went deeper with that. They asked me, they're like, well, I was working free on a set, and I I didn't know set etiquette. And I was like, well, what do you mean by set etiquette? Of like, what did you not know? He's like, I didn't know when to ask questions. Like, I wanted to know these things, but it's like I didn't know when to ask them while we were in the midst of something or when we're loading up. And he's like, it seemed like everybody was busy. It's like, okay, so I want to build these connections while I'm working for free and I want to learn more, but there's some stuff that you pick up and then there's other stuff that you don't. How do you say for someone who's starting out, how do they navigate those waters of when do I ask a question on set and when don't I?
It's that favorite answer. It varies. Gotta love that answer, right? It varies. It depends. And unfortunately, it does. And the thing is, with that territory, it's gonna depend on, is this an indie set or is it a big budget set, like a SAG set where you got union people on there, because those tend to be a little bit more uptight and probably not the best opportunity to be asking questions. And that's probably where just do what you're told, fall back and pay attention and try to pick it up as you can, versus the indie set, you're gonna probably be able to ask a little bit more questions. I think it's probably a good technique, though, when you get in there to connect with a person that is either seems like they know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
They may not, but at least, that they seem like they have a good idea. Usually, your head people, like your DP or your camera op, people that are in constantly moving positions are going to be tougher, even on indie sets. But like if you can find the PA that is kind of like over all the other PAs and they have a good sense of what's going on, that's probably where the safe zone of being able to speak and talk, because they're probably going to have a little bit more space to do that than other people that are making or constantly having, because once this, from the time we pull up to set and start unloading,
your mind goes somewhere else.
You're already like, okay, we got to get and like nobody's in like from at least like DP, director, camera, lighting, all that stuff. Nobody's in the zone to answer questions about why anything's doing. You're just like you go into, I don't want to say like autopilot, but you go into director mode or producer mode, and that's just what you're doing at that point. It's not like, another way you could go about it is like make notes of what you have questions about and follow up after the fact. That would probably be a good way to do it too.
And the advice that I ended up giving to the young person that asked me this is I told them, I said, first and foremost, if there's any question in terms of equipment and how you move it, ask immediately.
Oh yeah, don't ever just do something.
Never ever hesitate when someone's like, "Hey, move this light," and you're like, "Well, how do I go and grab this?" Because there's going to be some lights that are LED that you can pick up and immediately touch them, and then there's other ones that are going to be airy lights that you will burn your hand the moment that
you require gloves to touch. Yeah.
All depending on how you move them. So in terms of moving equipment, if that's something that they ask you, you stop that individual and go, okay, how do you want me to move this? I don't know. Because if you don't have the knowledge for it, no one's going to get upset if you don't break their equipment, but someone's going to get upset if you break their equipment and you could have asked a question.
Yeah.
So when you're working for free and you're inside that environment when you don't have that knowledge, and when it comes to something like that, I would not hesitate on asking the question. And I know how fearful it can be because you got invited to this set, you're working with these people, and obviously there's people around you that are knowledgeable, but I'm going to tell you something, young creator, everybody starts out at the same exact place because nobody knows everything. As much as Michael may feel like he does, he did not know everything.
I will also tell you when I don't, though. That's the thing. I don't have a problem saying I don't know, or I need to find out, or I need to check on that. And that's a big thing too for new creatives coming into it. Don't be afraid to say I don't know, or that's something I'm not familiar with. Like, especially just because I know there's always an enormous pressure when someone says, hey, can you go do this? And then you're like, wait, I don't know what that, like, and you feel like you got to go do it because you don't want to not be asked to come back. And I'm like, no, they don't even know. But the thing is like, we were all at one time or another in some form or fashion in that same position and can relate to it. So it's like, we understand it's a learning role. You're there to learn and also assist. So we don't expect everybody in those positions to be experts or masters of that craft. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people get themselves in trouble by just not saying, hey, I don't know what that is, or I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know this is something that you already kind of touched on, because we're about to touch on to the last one of working for free, of the when do I stop? And you said to never stop. And I can use an example for myself. There are some people that are close to me that are friends that I've worked on their sets. They've worked on mine. They already know if they call me up and they need help, they got me. And then there's other people that call me up that I'm not familiar with, that I have no ties to, that if I'm coming to your set, I'm expecting to be paid. So for you, when do you make that distinction of the ones that you ask for payment? Because once you get out of working for free, you have a little bit of knowledge. So when do you come to that distinction of when you're like, okay, I can start asking for some type of compensation, whether I'm a PA, whether I'm a grip, or whether I'm inside whatever department I'm in? When do you make that determination for yourself of like, okay, I can start asking maybe, for a check here or a little bit?
Well, I can only speak to my experience and how that worked or went for me. And honestly, it came from a comfortability level of me feeling like I was at a space, like I felt like I knew enough, like, to be a professional at a point to where I felt like I'm not going to set to learn anymore. I'm going or going to do this to learn. I'm going to actually provide value.
Out of curiosity, how long did it take for you to get to this point in your career? I'm just curious, Maybe they're curious as well. I think so. So how long did it take?
Well, I never thought I was going to be a filmmaker. So my journey didn't start anywhere near film. So there's that. Right. So it's a little bit different. I did a lot of work, never got paid for it, did something else, got paid for it. Yeah, I don't know. But when I bought my first camera in 2010, I thought I was just going to take this camera and start getting work, and I didn't have a portfolio of any of that work at all. I was like, hey, I do photos, videos. Oh, yeah, well, I'm in the market for some photos and video. Can I see your portfolio? And I was like, oh, you wanted to see the work before? Oh, yeah. No, I don't have anything. So for at least a year, I think I maybe made for the first year $50 with my camera. That was and that was the latter part of the first year, and that was maybe friends, but I did a lot of pro bono free stuff just to build the portfolio. I never did PA work. I always had the camera in my hands. So, but yeah, I did a lot of free photos, video.
So a whole bunch of just free photos.
At least a year of it.
At least a year of it.
Yeah.
Didn't get paid for any of it except for $50 towards the end.
Mm-hmm. That was like a family session, family. And when I say family, I mean within my family.
So you're telling me your wife gave you $50?
No, not my wife.
Okay,
but she was wondering where the money was for the camera that I bought, because it was not really good timing at the time I bought the camera. So that $50 went to her immediately, because I still owed her a remaining $850 for the $900 camera that I bought. So, I was in the hole for quite some time. But I actually ended up lucking up and fell into a very random proposal video shortly after shortly after a year of owning the camera, and I think that project, I think it was like $1,200. That was like my first big paid project. And then I kind of just fell into the wedding industry, and that's kind of where all that happened.
Okay. So what I find extremely interesting about working for free, because we both are working professionals that get paid, and we still yet do it. What is it about you still yet doing it? Because I know for me, if it's a story that I've fallen for, and it's something that really draws me to it, it's weird because I'm very selective on when I do it, but it has to be something that draws me to it, whether it's the people that are working on it, whether it's the opportunity that I believe can come after it, or even if it's just the story within itself, because sometimes individuals can kind of push me into kind of going into that realm. I'm going to say this, don't you take advantage of this, but my good friend TK, he's done a crap ton of favors for me. And I've done some for him, and I know for a fact I still owe him on a couple favors. But if he were to call me in, or if he's like, oh, could I join to be a part of the set? He's one that I would definitely do it for. Cool guy. But like, when is it for you? You own a studio, you have all these things, but yet you still do free work. What's the benefit now for you getting it? Like, what's the benefit of you working these free jobs now? Because you would assume at your level you don't have to anymore.
No, I mean, I definitely don't have to. It's because I want to do the project. Like, whatever part of my soul that it hits or just touches me, like in a way that I want to be a part of, whatever way I can be a part of telling that particular story. Story is king, right? For the longest time, I always had this very weird thing about death, right? Because it's so final. But I started channeling my energy a little bit differently when it came to thinking about death, because obviously nobody makes it out alive, right? Like, it's regardless. So the goal in life is not to live forever. In my world, it's not to live forever, but to create something that will. So the way I see stories now are the legacy and the thing that will always stay behind, regardless of I could go tomorrow, but anything that I was a part of story wise will always be there. So anytime I have the opportunity to be a part of someone's story or help tell a good story, I'm going to do it. Money's not the motivator for it. Money's just the piece that is required for us to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't do it for the money. It's just I've just been fortunate enough to figure out how to make a living doing it, and not just me making a living, but building it up to a point where I can make or provide an outlet for others to also do the same and get to that level where we're doing what we love for a living, you know? So
it's weird because you get to a certain level and there's certain jobs that you immediately are like, look, you're gonna have to pay me in order to work this.
There's definitely those.
Yeah.
There's definitely those, because they're shit. The story shit though too. That's why. You're like, oh no, I'm charging them extra because it's that much shit. There's definitely those.
So we go through all of that, but yet there's still stuff that we work and that we do for free. And as a young creative, do you think they should put a price tag on a passion project of like, look, I really like this story, but it's going to take up this amount of my time.
I prefer a free project. You know why?
Why?
It takes all the pressure off.
Really?
There's no pressure. You just get to do it, man.
See, for me, working a free project, like directing, I don't think I'll direct another completely free project again. And the reason being is there were too many variables on the day that I was worried about, because when you're not paying people not showing up is the highest probability in the world.
Well, see, there's also, so one of the things I think through my time of directing, producing, and just coming into being a production company and a studio owner, some of the takeaways that I've learned through bad experiences were some of the controllable things that I now implement like at the front end of going into projects, like when clients hire us. Like there's just certain things like, obviously we like to be a part of the casting process. We want to have certain ties into things because, we're offering, a script to screen one-stop shop here. So there's a lot of pieces that, others may not be familiar with. And, I can definitely see, like, if you're coming in to direct a project, but then you didn't get to have a say in all these pieces on top of it, you're not being paid. There's just a lot there that I'm getting a headache thinking about it. So I'm just like, I can definitely get that.
All right, since we've already kind of segue into it. So when it comes to being on top of a project and you're on top of it and you're actually hiring people in for free and bringing these people in for free, how do you operate that environment? Because we've talked about being an individual trying to find work and trying to work for free.
You don't want to hear my answer.
You can't say that and now give the answer.
I don't hire free work.
Ever?
Mm-mm.
Nope. So you're telling me you're doing a project and someone wants to jump on, whether it be a PA or that capacity, you're not going to take free hands?
I will take free. But what I'm saying is I don't ever post. I don't do a crew call for free work is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if I'm crewing up for a project, if we're shooting, whether it's a music video or film. Now we have interns from college. We have college interns. So I'm not saying that there's not extra hands and people on our set like that. But what I'm saying is like I never do a crew call saying unpaid. I don't do unpaid crew calls. But if someone comes and says, "Hey, I want to come in. I want to learn. I will do that." But I don't. I won't. I don't do postings or calls for that. Same thing with casting. I don't do free casting.
Okay, that's interesting. So like, because people, of course, like you just said, like you'll bring them in, but why is it now that you're like, I would never do that? Is there experience that has happened in the past that made you lead to do that? Because I know for myself, I want to make sure that everybody's paid for the simple fact of, I know that people love the project and there's people that are going to be passionate about it, but there gets a certain level of professionalism when that dollar amount is attached to it.
Even if it doesn't even have to be a large dollar amount, but there is a certain level of professional courtesy that's given to this day. In the past 6 years since I've been doing castings for narrative work, from shorts to features, where we've paid where we've paid all of our actors, we paid our crew. I've never had a no-show. Now, I've heard enough horror stories from other people who have done non-paid projects, and I feel like there's too much work that's done. Well, I know how we do our pre-production and the amount of effort that goes into it, and for me, it's too much work to just not pay for the little bit of piece of reliability in somebody that, hey, I'm going to pay you this amount. This is just a small contract, and this, just to make that professional commitment to one another. It's to me, it's just peace of mind.
So what advice would you even give to someone who's trying to work for free? Because I know on the looking for work piece, you said, ask that person of what they have or what they have available for them to watch in order to kind of measure or judge their type of quality or what they're trying to make or what they're trying to create or what you can even learn from that person's set. Mm-hmm. So if you're inside the position of you're trying to hire people for free, what is it that you're trying to look for more than anything else? What are you trying to pitch in terms of like, you should come work for me for free because what?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily come work for me for free thing. I think you have to try and identify, whether it's a director or a DP. It depends what you're trying to do. If you want to direct, if you want to DP, whatever you're trying to do, you need to find someone that you identify with and either like their storytelling style, you like their cinematography style, whatever it is that you're connecting with. When in 2015, when I decided, I was like, doesn't matter how many music videos, how many weddings, or any of this other stuff, how many commercials I do for small businesses, I'm never going to get into the narrative world. Nobody's going to come and say, I want you to direct this. I got to go into that world. What I ended up doing was looking through different production companies and finding people and work that I felt was in line with what I wanted to either do or learn how to do. And that's how I went about trying to get and find my lane as a narrative person. Of course, I was jumping in and doing something for free, even though I did have a skill set. I was being paid for doing a plethora of other things, but I was a run and gun shooter. I'd never been on a professional set where there was departments and team members and a designated person for everything. No, I did it all. I was like, focus, lens change, all that. I was doing all of it myself. So, that's kind of the way, you want to identify with people that are doing work that you want to do or in the realm of what you want to do. Obviously, if you want to tell horror thriller stories and you don't want to go to a company that's known for rom-coms, like, you're not going to connect. You got to find people find your tribe by looking for who's doing what you're trying to get into.
So are there any other outlets in terms of people connecting and even just trying to work together as one another that you would recommend for somebody? Because we've talked about working and doing all these things, but outside of the group that we have, where else can someone find this work?
Outside of Atlanta, I really don't know. If it's outside, the thing, especially with Atlanta, there is a lot of stuff. There is the Atlanta Film Society in Atlanta. Pre-COVID, they had different meetups.
I've heard good things about Clubhouse. I'm not on there, but I've heard great things about connecting with people on Clubhouse.
Well, our head of operations, Ashley, is a big advocate of Clubhouse, and I know she's made some great connections. And I think it also that also boils down to the type of person you are and the way you connect with people. I'm more of a in-person type of person. I like to go out. I can go and work a room. I'm good from that aspect. Mm-hmm. Me sitting with a phone in a room on a phone, I can't, because I'm a people person, so I can't gauge someone's body language and motion from a phone, because there's big pieces of that, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, there's the human aspect for me. So I tried the Clubhouse thing. It wasn't for me. Just wasn't for me.
I would love to try it, but unfortunately, as of right now, I'm a Galaxy user. So
yeah, you'll make the switch sooner or later.
Nah, not if I love myself. Not if I love myself, I won't make the switch.
Oh, gosh. Oh, there you go. Don't love yourself. Stop loving yourself. What about you? When did you decide to get out of doing free work, or at least minimalize it, or say, hey, I got to start getting paid for my services?
It's weird because, I'm about to use your words, varies. And the reason why it varies is because each individual and their experience of what they're going into is vastly different. And the thing that's vastly different about it is, until I felt confident enough in a particular area, did I feel good enough about asking for income.
Which was the first realm? Writing, acting, or directing that you...
Acting, without a shadow of a doubt, was the
first place you made money?
First place that I made money. So I end up booking an agency. I end up getting with an agency, end up booking some work through them. And then actually wasn't even a friend, but someone that I knew wanted me to come act and be a part of their piece. And I read the script, I read everything about it, and I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. The only way that I would do this is if you would pay me to do it. He was like, well, I don't really have the funds right now. I said, that's completely understandable. They left, end up coming back a week later. He ended up being able to get the funds to be able to hire me to end up doing the job, so I ended up doing it. But it was the thing of you know what that goes into, what I said earlier about we afford what we want. Mm-hmm. The irony of him not having it, but then coming back with it. He came back and was like, Curtis, I would love you to be a part of this project. I ended up doing it. It was a one-day shoot, and I have yet to see that project. And this is one thing I want to say to like Atlanta filmmakers as well as actors or directors within the thing. Like, there's going to be a lot of times where you work on stuff, and to be honest, any project getting finished and you being able to see it is a win. And I know that people don't consider that, but
why do you know, that was something that someone shared with me early on, when I started moving into the indie community and started getting into narrative work. They're like, yeah, just getting to the finish line and having a fully done project is a win, regardless of what it is. It's a win. And I'm like, really? That's it. Because a lot, and the other thing too, a lot of just conversations with actors, a big thing is them not getting footage from their projects. And a lot of times, especially actors, and because a lot of actors only do acting, some of them may write, but a lot of actors act, and when they're doing projects for free, they're typically doing it for footage.
Yeah.
Is usually the trade-off. And then because of the production, for whatever reason, doesn't get finished, they don't get the footage, so they don't even get the piece that they agreed upon.
I think that's one of the biggest things in the Atlanta film market, because I've been burned at least 3 times when it comes to that, of working for free, of being an actor, and what I expected to get out of it was footage. Was this
at the very beginning?
Very beginning of my career. And like, now that I know a little bit of the warning signs in terms of, look at their other projects, the other stuff that they worked on.
Do you have anything finished?
Yeah, do you have anything finished, anything out that I can watch? And those were things that I didn't think of asking, because I was like, cool, I'm going to get an opportunity to work on my craft in front of a camera. I have a character for me to come in, develop, to bring to life. Like, I'm thinking about all the positives, but when you're starting out, that's of course what you're supposed to be thinking about. And that's why you come to stuff like us and listen, so we can tell you.
Yeah. These are the other things that you're not going to be thinking about, because you don't even know they exist until you get burned by them.
Yeah, because for me, I got burned 3 times, and it took me
were they consecutive?
Nope, it was one time I got burned, then I worked on a project where I actually got the footage, so I was like, okay, cool.
Was it good?
We're not going to talk about that, Michael. That's not the point.
That's fair. That also goes into checking out the work prior to accepting it.
So my thing was, I should.
Who's your DP? Damn it!
That's what I should have looked up, because the director had worked on some stuff, but on this project.
See, that's perfect, because it's also knowing the questions to ask. It's not especially if you're an actor working for free or working for footage. The question isn't who's the director or who the producer or the only person you as an actor is going to care about is who is the DP and what does his reel look like, because that is what your footage is going to look like. That's what you want to care about.
Yeah, and I know for me, like, because I was asking about the director, because I was like, this is going to be something that I work closely with. I'm going to be building this relationship with him in terms of my performance. But at the end of the day, who's going to be capturing my performance through that lens is typically going to be the DP. Yes, he's guided by the director, but at the same exact point, he's going to be capturing that image and making sure I look the best I possibly can. And if I look at your previous work, and let's just say it's not looking good, then I'm going to assume that I'm not going to look good. Yeah. So like, I can definitely tell you some of the traps of the Atlanta film community is working for free and not getting your footage. And the thing is also too, and I know this may hurt some people to say, you're going to work on something for free and you're going to look back at it and you're going to be like, I can't show this to a lot of people.
Or you could be like me and show it to everybody.
But you shouldn't.
No, I believe in transparency. I believe it shows growth. It shows that, hey, you know what? Everybody's shit sucked at some point.
I agree, but like, you flaunt your stuff. Like, nobody wants to see, like, you purposely are like, hey, everybody come in here. We're like, oh, is it a meeting? Come watch this. And it's some of the old stuff that you made. And yes, I'm so glad that you're doing better now, but you don't have to show us. You really don't.
I'm recovering.
You are doing fantastic now. But
Wonderful.
Back then, they didn't want you. You like Mike Jones now? You're hot. They all on you. But for a person making stuff and like your very first stuff, I understand if you make it and you look back at it and you're like, oh, I don't want to show this to anybody. And when you're starting out with your career, you have to be smart of working for free, of what you show to people and what you don't show to people, because
at the beginning,
Yeah, because I already know one thing that travels faster than anything else, and it's something that Hollywood's been trying to get up in a bottle and trying to capture, but you can't. It's that word of mouth. Mm-hmm. And once you get that reputation or that salt on your name, it's very hard to remove. So when you get onto a set and you are working for free, and I know it may seem like it may not even be the funnest project, you still have to give your all to that project because you don't know who's on that set who's going to be hiring for another job or another opportunity, and it's always going to be someone that you probably don't expect, who you've had little contact with. I've seen it happen, and they're always watching, because I know for a fact the sound guy that worked on the indie film that I worked on, I ended up hiring him immediately because he was always professional. Damon from Playback Sounds. Dude was always professional, always on his P's and Q's. So when I had an opportunity to hire him, the moment I got the money, I booked that dude. Yeah. Because I already knew what he was coming with. He was always on time. He always did his piece. Now, everybody around him may have been going crazy, but he always had his stuff together.
He was centered, just balanced, kept it cool.
Bro, the moment I got money, I was like, hey, Damon, you available, my brother? He's like, I got you, Kurt. So we end up working together. But you always remember those people. And Damon didn't know that one day the actor that's in this piece was going to have money and he was going to be directing a film.
Right. You never know. Mm-hmm. You never know. And because you don't necessarily know what someone's ambitions are or what their goals are, you know. And I think one thing with the Atlanta Film Production Group, though, they've definitely done a great job of trying to foster and create rules for the post to help navigate or fit. I don't want to say police, but just help guide some of that free stuff and putting some things in place to where people have to show links and do different things in order to post jobs, just so there is transparency there. For whether, because we do have to consider, even though there are moderate, expert level, you know, and vets that are on the page, there's also your very new novice beginners that don't know anything that are looking at these posts. And those are the people we have to be mindful for. And, you know, as a community, we want to make sure those people are taken care of, because if they have a bad experience going to a set that they found through our page, it hurts us as a whole in the community.
I got you. So last thing, when you're leaving off to somebody about working for free, what's the last thing that you want to leave them with, that knowledge in terms of working for free? If there was only one thing that they could get out of this whole entire log, because we done talk now. We done talk for a bit now. Yeah. What's the one thing that they can leave with that you would want to give them to send them home with?
To send them home with about working for free? What about you? What would you leave them with?
It would be two things. One, actually, it would be from three different perspectives. As an actor, do whatever you can research-wise, and I know it may sound weird, to look at that person, examine that person, and see exactly what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. Because a vast majority of the time, and I hate to say it, but actors that work, even on paid gigs in the indie market, still don't get their footage, which is insane to think. Yeah. But that's just a part of the game. So do whatever you can research-wise, so that at least if you're working for free, okay, I'm going to have something for my demo reel. Yeah. Or at least I'm going to have something to show for it besides a paycheck. And paychecks are nice too, but you still want to see your work. And in terms of working for free as a writer, you're just trying to get your name in the door. Just trying to create something. At the end of the day, all you can do is write. And if people are liking the story, that's the best you can do. And as a director, be very, very selective. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Be very, very selective on what you do for free. Because once you attach your name as a director,
I would say if you're going to be directing for free, I would say you probably want to keep that to your own projects. To start. I don't think I would venture into directing someone else's project unless it's paid.
See, I could, you know what? I can't really knock that, because if I'm going to go down fighting, or if I'm going to take a chance,
it's going to be on my own shit.
It's got to be. It's got to be on me. But then there's some opportunities that you fall into if someone's like, oh, I really want you to direct this, or you've been trying to be a director.
They don't have to pay. Because the thing is I know everything in that, all the pieces that have to go into directing. I'm not going to do that for free for someone else's shit.
Gotcha. See, I can't really knock that because like
it's too much, and there's such a level of commitment you have because dude, you're the captain of the ship, bro. You got to take that sucker home, man. I'm not for free. I'm gonna do that on my.
Yeah. Oh, I can't really knock that.
You know what?
Because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, nah, if I'm going to fall on anybody's sword, it's not going to be on the sword that you made. It's going to be on the sword that I made. So I can't.
I'm not going to do it.
I get it, bro. I can't even.
But I think my advice is definitely do your homework, regardless, whatever the role is, and to keep story first. Like, don't let money guide your decision making. Like, let your heart in the story. Let story be king, because that's what we're all here for.
Yeah, and when he means by doing your homework, check the IMDb, check the YouTube, check all the links that you can possibly get a hold of.
And if you don't know what to check, hit me up. I will do the check. I will check.
Don't. You don't want him to check. You really don't.
I will check. I dig it all up. I like digging it up.
Yeah, we know, Michael. We know.
Curtis, we have found out some very interesting things about some filmmakers right here.
I feel like you're about to say something else.
I'm not.
Oh, were you about to spill the tea?
No. I was about to thank these ladies and gentlemen for tuning into this episode of the Creative AF Podcast, Curtis. They also need to hit that subscribe button or follow button, whether they're on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're joining us from. They can also leave a comment for any future episodes, right? Got something you want us to cover, talk about, make sure to leave that in the comment. If there's any information that we got to leave, it'll be in the description section. You got anything, Curtis?
Oh, yeah. Be blessed. Sexual seduction.
I don't even know.
Just let it be, baby. Just let it be.
Until next time. Ciao.
Powered by M3 Creative.